Y&R Spoilers reveal the mysterious kidnapping conspiracy and fallout. The dramatic search for Phyllis and Sharon, Nick and Billy embark on together. Billy Abbott and Nick Newman is a non-stop storm. They can't stop worrying about the well-being of Phyllis and Sharon, the two important women in their lives. After receiving information about the kidnapping, Billy and Nick quickly put together a rescue plan. But they could never have imagined the truth that lay ahead, a chilling truth that would not only change their lives, but also uncover dark secrets that have been buried for years. The rescue journey. Both Billy and Nick know they have to act fast. Sharon and Phyllis are not only close friends, but also women they both love. After locating the two victims, they discuss how to approach and rescue them, determined to save them at all costs. However, with each step closer to Sharon and Phyllis's captivity, their anxiety grows. Things are not as simple as they thought. While Billy tries to deduce the clues they have, Nick is struggling with another problem. The secret of Ian Ward's death, the murderer they believe to be dead, is threatening to become a time bomb. Nick has decided to cover up Ian's death, not only because he fears it will damage the Newman family's reputation, but also because he knows that those involved in Ian's death will face serious consequences. Strange signs appear around the case, making him more anxious than ever. The mastermind's conspiracy. As the two get closer to the truth, they discover that this kidnapping was more than just a simple accident. Neither Billy nor Nick expected that the person behind the incident was a severely mentally ill person, and that this person had planned it for a long time. The strange clues that Billy and Nick collected gradually led them to a name they never expected: Martin Laurent. The man they once thought was a normal character was actually the main mastermind of this kidnapping. Billy can't help but wonder about the connection between Martin and Ian's disappearance. He suspects that Ian's death was more than just an accident or a normal incident. The question is whether Martin was involved in Ian's death. This makes Billy even more confused as he realizes that this case may be much more complicated than he initially thought. Nick and Billy face difficult decisions. Nick feels the pressure mounting. As an investigation into Ian's death begins to unfold, he realizes that the truth could destroy everything he and the Newman family have built. If Ian's death is found to be linked to the family, especially Nick, the consequences will be unimaginable. The entire Newman family could be caught up in a lengthy lawsuit, which could ruin their careers and reputations. With such a huge responsibility on his shoulders, Nick faces a difficult decision. Will he continue to hide the truth about Ian's death, or will he let it out and accept the consequences? Every step he takes carries unforeseen risks, and with each passing minute, his anxiety grows. Phyllis and Sharon, victims of a sinister plan. Meanwhile, Phyllis and Sharon, two women who are being held captive, have no idea that they are pawns in a dangerous game. Although they both sense that something is wrong, they cannot understand the truth behind it. Phyllis, with her strong and determined nature, keeps trying to find a way to escape, while Sharon is calmer, trying to keep her spirits up and hoping for rescue. Phyllis feels more and more confused, unable to understand why Martin decided to kidnap her and Sharon. Is there a connection between Martin and the events in her past? Could she have accidentally hurt Martin without knowing it? Phyllis cannot forget that in the past, she has faced dangerous enemies many times. But this time, this enemy is different, and it is not simply a simple revenge. Questions about Martin. The biggest question that neither Billy nor Nick can answer is why Martin came up with the idea of kidnapping Phyllis and Sharon. How could an ordinary man become the mastermind of such a criminal plot? What drove Martin to act? Was there a man full of hatred and resentment behind Martin's gentle exterior? As secrets are revealed, Phyllis and Sharon must confront the truth about their enemy. But do they have the strength to deal with this enemy, or will they become the next victims in this never-ending crime game? The mystery behind the kidnapping, conspiracy, rescue, and untold secrets. Genoa City is experiencing one of the most chaotic times it has ever seen, when Phyllis and Sharon are kidnapped and thrown into a life-or-death situation. What started as a dramatic case turns into a series of twists and turns, and everyone involved is faced with secrets and choices that could change their lives forever. The kidnapping, a race against time. From the start, the kidnapping puts everyone in a race against time. Phyllis and Sharon, important women to Nick Newman and Billy Abbott, were mysteriously kidnapped by the perpetrator. From the first clues, Nick and Billy, despite having different relationships with these two women, decided to work together to find and rescue them. Neither of them could have imagined that this search would take longer than they thought and lead them into an unbelievable story. Nick and Billy, two men with different personalities, one living by reason and stability, the other always acting with passion and determination, together overcame all difficulties to find the mastermind. Both understood that if they did not act promptly, they might lose the women they loved. The two quickly received help from Chance Chancellor, who was always dedicated to justice. After finding an important clue, Chance shared with Billy and Nick the location of the victims. However, even with the information, getting there in time to save Sharon and Phyllis is still a big question. The situation is getting more and more tense as time is running out, and a minute of delay could be a big price to pay. While Billy and Nick get closer to important information about the kidnapping, Sharon and Phyllis are struggling for their lives. They are imprisoned in an unknown place, facing dangers that always lurk, and no one knows if they can survive this challenge. The rescue and the hidden plot. One of the most important developments in the story is when Sharon discovers a vital antidote, saving Phyllis's life after she is poisoned. However, just a short time later, the situation changes again, and everything becomes confusing. It seems that powerful and sophisticated forces are pulling unpredictable turns, preventing Nick and Billy from reaching their goal as they wish. But the truth gradually emerges through increasingly suspicious circumstances. Billy begins to suspect that the disappearance of Ian Ward, who they thought was dead, may be related to this kidnapping case. This pushes the story into a new direction, as Billy constantly asks questions about the relationship between Ian and his family. Was Ian's death really just an accident, or was it related to a larger conspiracy? And why is everything suddenly linked to Phyllis and Sharon's kidnapping? Meanwhile, Nick cannot help but worry about Ian's death. If the secret of this death is exposed, not only he but the entire Newman family will face a terrible legal round. He did everything he could to cover up Ian's death, from destroying evidence to trying to keep those involved from getting involved. However, in such a tense situation, secrets cannot stay hidden forever. Nick feels increasingly burdened by the realization that his family, especially him and Victor, could be caught up in a lengthy lawsuit if the truth about Ian's death is revealed. Even the people they once trusted could become the first to betray them and put their family in danger. Martin, the psychopath mastermind. The deeper Billy and Nick get into the investigation, the more they realize that the mastermind behind this kidnapping is no ordinary person. This person has a dark past and a serious mental illness. And when the identity of this person is revealed, everyone is shocked. It is Martin Laurent, the man Billy and Nick once thought was part of the family, a man they never suspected. Billy cannot understand why Martin decided to kidnap Phyllis and Sharon, people with whom he has no grudge. This creates a series of unanswered questions. Is Martin haunted by an incident from his past? Or did some event drive him crazy and make him commit this extreme act? Meanwhile, Phyllis and Sharon, despite being held captive, are constantly trying to find a way out of this situation. Phyllis, who has always been strong and resilient, is constantly looking for opportunities to escape the kidnapper's hands. Sharon, with her calm and patient nature, is also not willing to give up, and the two of them finally do what many people think is impossible: survive and find a way to fight for their own lives. The end of a difficult investigation. The rescue is not just a simple mission, but a battle against time, anxiety, and constantly emerging secrets. Billy and Nick face difficult questions and gradually realize that not all of them are who they think they are. The people they trust may be hiding dark secrets, and that will cause them to face unpredictable consequences. While everything is spinning, Martin, with his calculated plan, continues to control everything from the shadows. But can he continue to control the situation, or will the people he kidnapped rise to the challenge and bring to light long-buried secrets? This kidnapping is not only a fight to the death, but also a story of betrayal, questioning and the struggle between good and evil, in a world where no one really knows who is next to them. Is experiencing a fierce storm, but not about the weather. It is the constant chaos caused by the kidnapping of Phyllis and Sharon, two important women in the lives of Billy Abbott and Nick Newman. When both receive news of their disappearance, everyone enters a life-or-death race, trying to save them from the evil people. Dark secrets begin to be revealed, and neither of them can predict what will happen next. The chase. From hope to despair, Nick and Billy decide to work together to pursue the clues, hoping to find out where Phyllis and Sharon are being held before it's too late. They both know that time is of the essence in this situation, and every second that passes is a threat to the lives of the two women. Billy, with his decisive spirit, always believes that only quick action can bring results. Nick, although more cautious and worried, also constantly urges himself to act, because he knows that the longer Phyllis and Sharon are in the hands of the evil, the less chance there is to save them. The two get into the car, hands gripping the steering wheel, eyes tense but determined. They have determined a direction, but each step is uncertain. Since they received the first clues, things seem to be getting more difficult. The villain was in control and every situation could be reversed at any moment. Sharon and Phyllis's anxiety at the same time. Sharon and Phyllis were in a very dangerous situation. They were imprisoned in a dark and stuffy room, not knowing what was waiting for them. With each passing moment, their anxiety increased. They clearly felt that the walls were closing in, as if death was getting closer every day. Phyllis, who had always been strong and determined, now couldn't help but feel helpless. She always thought she could face any difficulty in life, but now, her weakness became obvious when she was imprisoned and poisoned. She couldn't help but worry about herself and Sharon, her close friend, with whom she had shared all the happy and sad moments in life. Sharon, meanwhile, was always more patient and calm. But even she couldn't hide the panic in her heart. She knew that time was running out, and if they didn't find a way out soon, they wouldn't survive. Sharon tried to keep both of their spirits up, because she knew that if they didn't cooperate and work together, their only hope would be zero. Teamwork became a vital factor. If they couldn't maintain trust in each other and couldn't coordinate to find a way out, it would be difficult for them to overcome this challenge. Every time Sharon and Phyllis talked to each other, they reminded each other that no matter the circumstances, they could do it if they worked together. While Billy and Nick chased leads and tried to reach Phyllis and Sharon, Chance Chancellor searched for information. He knew that every moment was important, and he couldn't let the victims fall into the hands of his enemies for too long. Finally, Chance found a crucial clue that he knew would change the game. He quickly contacted Billy and Nick, sharing the new information he had just gathered. What Chance brought was not just a small piece of the puzzle, but an important part of the bigger picture of the truth. He pointed out that the person behind this kidnapping was not just a single person, but could be part of a larger conspiracy that they had not yet realized. Chance not only provided information about the victims' locations, but also emphasized that there might be another criminal they had not thought of involved in this case. These new details left Billy and Nick shocked, but also opened up a glimmer of hope. They understand that things can still change, and if they can use this clue effectively, they may be able to get there in time to save Phyllis and Sharon. The secrets behind the mastermind. As the clues become clearer, a big question arises in Billy and Nick's minds: who is the real mastermind behind this kidnapping? Was it just a random act, or is there a deeper conspiracy going on that they have not yet realized? Billy begins to think about the connection between Ian Ward's disappearance and this kidnapping. He suspects that Ian's death may not have been an accident. Is Ian related to this mastermind? And if so, why did he choose Phyllis and Sharon as hostages? While Billy wrestles with these questions, Nick is also constantly worried about Ian's death. He knows that if Ian's secret is exposed, the Newman family will face a major crisis. Family relationships could be severely damaged, and those involved in Ian's death would face devastating legal action. Nick cannot let this happen, and he is determined to hide the truth, even if it makes things more difficult. A race against time. Billy and Nick are getting closer to their target. They know they must act immediately to rescue Phyllis and Sharon. Chance's clues are the key, but will they get there before it's too late? Phyllis and Sharon, despite their desperate fight to survive, cannot help but feel terrified that they may not have time to find a way out. With each other's support and a glimmer of hope from the outside, they continue to fight, not only for themselves but for the people they love. This story is not only a race against time, but also a story of courage, sacrifice, and dark secrets that have not been revealed. Every step of Billy, Nick, and Chance contains surprises that no one can predict. But one thing is certain, they will not stop until they save Phyllis and Sharon, and break the plots that are secretly taking place in the dark. In the chaos after the kidnapping of Phyllis and Sharon, two important women to the men in this story. When the police and the authorities still have not had a clear result on the case, a risky decision is made. Nick Newman and Billy Abbott, two men with complicated relationships and different personalities, decide to act on their own. Together, they begin a tense chase, not only against time but also facing the dark plots that are secretly taking place. The beginning of the death race. Nick and Billy, although not the closest of friends, realized in this emergency that they could only rely on each other to rescue Phyllis and Sharon. After receiving an important clue from Chance, they decided not to wait for the police to intervene. In their eyes, every moment was precious, and they felt that acting quickly, even if it might be a little over the top, would help them achieve a better result. They got into the car, starting a tense journey with Nick behind the wheel and Billy in the passenger seat. These two men were not simply driving to a destination. They were on a life-or-death chase, with their goal being to save the people they loved. They both hope that the clues Chance provides will lead them to where Phyllis and Sharon are being held, a place they are not sure of, possibly a deserted warehouse or an abandoned psychiatric facility, but any place could be their only chance to free the hostages. As they drove, Billy couldn't help but feel nervous and anxious. He knew that every step they took could be the last in Phyllis and Sharon's lives. Billy felt a heavy sense of responsibility as he thought he might be the only one who could save them. Together with Nick, they began to imagine what lay ahead. Would they have enough information to break into the abandoned mental facility, break down every door, and rescue Phyllis and Sharon? Nick, as the driver, sometimes had to put aside his own worries to focus on the goal. He knew that Phyllis and Sharon were living in a nightmare with no way out, and they needed a miracle. A feeling of unease spread through him as he wondered if the clue they were pursuing would lead to rescue. Phyllis and Sharon's anxiety. While Nick and Billy were chasing the clue, Phyllis and Sharon continued their own fight for survival. The two are trapped in a dark room, and although they don't know exactly where they are, they know that time is running out. They feel the walls closing in around them, making them increasingly anxious. However, instead of panicking, Sharon and Phyllis realize that working together is their only hope. They constantly encourage each other, despite their desperate situation. Sharon, with her calm demeanor, reassures Phyllis that if they fight together, they will find a way out. Phyllis, with her strong and unyielding nature, is determined not to let this situation defeat her. They both understand that unity is the only strength that can help them overcome this challenge. Breaking down the door, the rescue of horrors. Finally, after hours of tension, Billy and Nick find the location that Chance has indicated. The abandoned mental institution slowly came into view, and that was when all their decisions would be made. Could they break down the doors of this hell and get Phyllis and Sharon out safely? As the two of them entered the deserted facility, the atmosphere became heavier and more tense. Their footsteps echoed in the cold hallways, each sound like a countdown. Billy and Nick knew that they could not afford to make any mistakes at this point. Any mistake could lead to a terrible end. The two of them continued to follow the clues that Chance had provided, hoping to reach Sharon and Phyllis's cell soon. When they finally broke into the cell, Phyllis and Sharon were almost exhausted. But as soon as they heard Billy and Nick's footsteps, a glimmer of hope flashed in their eyes. The rescue had begun, and although things were so close to the abyss, they no longer felt completely hopeless. Billy and Nick, with all their might and determination, broke down the prison door, and eventually, they brought Phyllis and Sharon out safely. However, the chase did not end there. Questions about the mastermind behind this kidnapping were still unanswered, and they knew that their lives would never be the same.